Well, hello, present and future participants, observers. My name is Anastasia Lapgard, and this is the Kite and Dart Community Consulting session for May 2nd, 2023. My birthday's tomorrow, so that's cool. And we're here with Anastasia Greenmore and Rachel Duncan, who have so generously decided to be in the hot seat. So I think, Anastasia, if you could introduce yourself and a little bit about your business and what to do and how people can get a hold of you, and then we'll have Rachel do the same thing, and then we'll hop into it.
Cool. Yeah. Hi, I'm Anastasia Greenmore. I'm the founder and CEO of Reclaiming Us, and it is an equity and inclusion services firm. And I work with companies and organizations as well as DEI practitioners to really co-design business, organizational work programs that center equity and really help move people into implementation. And my passion around doing that is really around supporting a sustainable role for DEI practitioners, having been in-house myself for over a decade. So people can get in contact with me on LinkedIn, I guess, is like my social media, Anastasia Greenmore, and my email is Anastasia. I'll put it in the chat so that you can just copy and paste it. But yeah, glad to be here. And I am excited to work with Nate. He coaches me and has been a great partner as I'm getting my business operations up and running.
Perfect.
Cool. Nice to meet you, Anastasia. I'm Rachel Duncan. I'm based in Denver. I'm a financial therapist. My company is We Figured Financial Therapy. And I help people who swim against the mainstream to find a lot of healing with their relationship with money, where there's been a lot of trauma and wounding. And I'm super busy, which is a wonderful problem to have. So that's kind of the problem.
Anastasia.
Yeah, so maybe that's what we'll be.
Anastasia's like fucking slammed right now, by the way. Good for
awesome. So yeah,
know.
You can find me at wefigured.com and We Figured Therapy on Instagram and The Money Therapist on TikTok, which is brewing. It hasn't started yet.
Great. I think Anastasia is going to start. Going to give an opportunity for everyone to introduce yourselves in the chat, who you are, what you do, and what had you come today. And I'm going to drop those prompts right now, and then we'll get into the coaching. Boom. All right, Anastasia, lay it out for me.
Oh, okay. Well, I started my business last year, so I am still in the startup stages, and something that I am really trying to land on is feeling like my offerings I don't need them to be like set in stone, because I'm open to shifting them as, my interests and abilities shift, but I feel like I am recreating them almost every time I have a new client. And as Nate mentioned, I'm really busy, so I really do want to have something that is repeatable and and just captures like the values around my business, because I think the type of equity and inclusion work that I'm interested in doing is not everyone's cup of tea, and I want that to like be really clear up front for people. So I want to get clear on my offerings, which Nate is very familiar with this conversation. But so I don't know if we're going to look at the one pager, but I have a one pager that I've been kind of tweaking here and there when I'm not doing client deliverables.
I got it pulled up, so we'll take a look at it.
Oh, I thought so.
I don't have to share it though if you don't want me to.
No, it's okay. I mean, let's do this. It's just yeah.
So this is and I'm sure you're going to be surprised when I say this, but this is a deep convo, because we're in this space of like what people like in general are preconditioned to think we do, and the way that our minds work and kind of like clump stuff together, and then like what it is that we really want to do. And I know that you and I, and all, full disclosure, Anastasia and I have done some work together, and Anastasia has a a ridiculous resume in her field. Like her chops are there. She was what did you do at GoPro? Or like the
oh yeah, I was the head of I built the program of DEI work, period, from the ground up. And I've done that, publicly traded companies, but I've also done it in advocacy spaces. And my work now is really bringing me back into the advocacy space, which I'm truly grateful for because of the level of sincerity there.
Glad you're there. I'm glad you're there. And the problem I think that we're dealing with is Anastasia wants to support people, and you correct me if I do anything wrong in terms of this, okay? But my understanding of your business is you want to support primarily folks that are in those positions.
Yes. Yeah. And that's one of the things I kind of struggle with is that, like, do I just specialize with people that are in DEI positions, or can I support them in other ways by working with other people in the organization too, which frankly right now is mostly what I'm doing because I haven't launched my cohort yet. That is my big dream. So
yeah, I think, and the question I have, and I know the question you have, just to get it all out on the table is, and I think you've said this to me, which is it's hard enough to get organizations to fund DEI work anyway. How are there organizations that are going to fund additional investment into the productivity or the effectiveness of their on-site DEI people and the degree of proficiency that it requires for folks to be in the conversation for what DEI work actually is, right? So this is the problem. And not like, I think this is a unique one because of the presence of fragility and our bombastic nature, but also we all deal with this, right? Which is like, if people knew exactly what it is that you did and how you did it and what they would get out of it, they would never need to hire you anyway.
fair.
Yeah, because then they would, right? It's just like weird kind of like catch-22 of transformation. So the first thing I like to look at is, I'm going to pull your stuff up. I won't share it, but I'm going to pull up your spreadsheet because I think it's super cool and can give us some clues. So what I think I want to make sure, so when people are asking me about products, Anastasia, I'm checking for alignment. So, and you brought it up. I'm checking for, are these products and services that we've decided that we're selling right now aligned with what you're best at and are making the kind of difference that you are committed to making with your time?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? How would you say, if you had to describe like what you have now and what you're offering, how aligned is it with what you care about and what you're great at doing?
I think if I had to like put it on a scale, I would say it's probably like 70-30, 70% being in alignment and that 30% not really, but that 30% feels very, because it's not in alignment, it feels more like sticky and hard to do, and it's what causes me more stress.
What would you say are those activities that you would categorize in that 30%?
I would say like people want me to just like look at everything they've done on DEI and be like, okay, what now? And that's not particularly the work that I'm really interested in, but it's like the work that people want to have done. Like it's primarily the RFPs that I'm seeing come around, the conversations that I'm having with some people. Because I'm not interested in just being like, okay, here's what you've done and here's your roadmap. I'm really interested in like helping people see this work differently and then co-design something that works for them, their employees, their organization. And so I think that's like the tricky part. And then there are these really great aligned clients that I've gotten to work with where we are going to be diving in and doing some of that work, over the course of time. And the other ones will kind of fall off, and then I can work with in like, so when I think about my offerings, like I want to be facilitating more spaces, like transformational spaces, and I want to be doing speaking engagements, and I'm like barely doing any. I'm doing workshops in the sort of context of larger contracts, but I'm not doing any speaking engagements. I did one. I did one paid engagement, but I don't know how to get like sustained momentum in that space because I'm not able to spend my time figuring that out because of the 30% stuff takes up a lot of time.
And I'll bet you that 30% looks like deliverables, yeah.
It's a lot of deliverables.
Yep. Yep. And so, and this is funny because this came up with Aisla last week. And it's actually the content that I pulled to create content is this, how it is for, I mean, women, and then particularly women of color entrepreneurs to get paid for what they know as opposed to what they do. And I think that this is like such a layered conversation. What I noticed, and I mean, I want to hear what you have to say, obviously, is that, you know, the women that I work with in this community are fucking results driven. There's not like no collapsing talking about doing something and doing something. So for the clients that I'm around, like very clear on that, like there's shit to be done and they're going to do it. So I don't want to throw all that stuff out. I think if we pull back a little bit and look at your qualifications, you're certainly qualified, not only in your past, but your skill set to do what you're talking about. So I don't have a problem with that. Like you're good at that shit. And I think a lot of times when we look at product offerings, we want to look at it kind of apart from the rest of it. You get what I'm saying? Like, so the question is, I'm going to say first is, where are your leads coming from now? Or what are you doing? What actions are you taking to generate interest in your business?
Yeah, it's funny. A friend asked me this question yesterday. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like maybe 90% of it is networking. You know, I'm in spaces like these and I'm meeting people, or I have, you know, long-term relationships where things are coming up there and they're connecting me to people. And then like the 10% is like, I post on LinkedIn and I don't do it very often because I don't like care for it very much. So
and you're busy. Yeah, I love it. So this is like, I always call you a natural. So you're doing something to get business, obviously, right? Because it's not coming out of thin air. And it looks like what you're doing is connecting with people, yeah?
yes.
And then you have this reputation,
Right.
which is awesome too. And I'm looking for give me a second. I'm looking for a diagram that kind of breaks this whole thing down in a long way, or in a general way. I don't know where it went. My search function on my computer isn't working, which is weird. So basically, I had this guy, Ian, who's wonderful. And Ian, if you ever watch this, I love you. He said, you just can't sell whatever the hell you want to say. You can't say whatever you want to say to whoever you want to say it to and expect for them to buy shit from you, Nate. And I was like, bro, I'm coaching you right now. It was really good. But he's right. So what we talk a lot about in Kite and Dart is this thing called the problem solution pair, which is basically like it's a predictor of whether or not people can buy. And right now, where you're positioned in the market, and granted, we're working on this, right? Like this is what we're doing right now. We're doing visual brand guide. We're doing a brand voice guide. We're building a website. So we're already doing the solution. But really, what we have to do is we have to attract people that have a problem that they're ready to admit they have and a solution they're willing to accept. And the problem that you're dealing with is like the problem solution pair that's showing up in your business are people that, I don't know, objectivity. Right? That people are, we're white folks and we're in business and we're in tech and we love, plans. A plan is the same thing as getting it done, right? It's just the way that our culture does it. Am I getting it right? Am I in the neighborhood or am I completely off base?
No, I think that's like fair to say. I'm taking notes.
Okay, cool. Okay, good. I always have to check my shit with you. Make sure I'm doing it right. So if we don't, and I don't mind referral-based businesses, but Like we can't have a referral-based business or business that's built on previous relationships and expect that we're going to have a whole bunch of agency about what people are asking us to buy. So in a broad way, you're already there. We're gonna, we build a website, we get a visual brand guide, we get a brand voice guide. We're gonna put out content in a way that you feel comfortable putting it out. That really drives what I heard just then and I put in the chat, which is that you help folks see the work differently and help them co-design solutions. So, for every, 10 white-led organizations that are out there that have spent the money on DEI and don't understand why they keep hiring DEI DEI directors of diversity or whatever, VP of diversity, and it doesn't work out. There's probably one or maybe out of 100 that's going like, we're trying to do it, we're doing everything we can, we're taking the advice and it's still not the results we're looking for. That's going to be your optimal client. So your optimal client is going to be not new to the conversation and participating in a non-performative way. They're going to be interested in material transformation. Are they out there? Yeah, but they're not like, you throw a rock, you're not going to hit one, right?
I'm like, okay, so how do I find them?
So what we do is you create content inside of this conversation and you put it out there, and we're going to build an audience around your business where you're talking about just in general what needs to be done differently. And you're only speaking to an audience of people who are interested in, they're already invested. They're committed to DEI, not for performative reasons. They're committed to DEI for material reasons. You're speaking to that audience and you're putting content out, and that becomes the way that those people come in. And you can do it wherever you build an audience. Right now, though, let's talk about right now. Okay. So right now you have a lead coming in and do you have more business than you can do right now? I think so, right? How far out are you booked?
Well, I have contracts that go through mid next year.
Okay.
But well, I would just say like I still need to sell a bit more to make financially until next year work.
Oh, don't we all? Some more than others, me especially. No, it's getting better this year. So then the question is what can we do with the leads we're getting to kind of meet them halfway? Because I'm hearing what you want to do is you want a client to come to you and say, we've tried this and we're doing the best we can really. And we're having a hard time getting it to stick. And it sounded like in the beginning, you're getting clients right now that are just like, tell us how to fix this problem. Yeah.
Yeah, not all, but some. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything in your offerings where they pay you to tell them that it's a bigger problem than they think?
I do now. Yeah, I do now. Yeah. At first was not working that way. But yeah. Cool. I do work in a paid discovery process now.
Yeah, can I give you the slow clap? How long does it take for you to do a paid discovery?
It depends on how much sort of they have to go through, but I generally give myself a month or two.
Okay. Can you shorten it?
Probably.
So here's what I like.
Why?
You're gonna love this. So this is America, right? We love money. And one of the funniest things about selling things is like before somebody gives us money, and you're selling to bureaucrats essentially, right? You're not selling to owner operators, but you're selling to someone that works inside of a business, correct?
Yeah.
So what they've got on the line isn't their money, but it's certainly their job. They're managing company assets, and their responsibility is to manage it in an effective way. So until somebody gives us money, if the no is like way stacked for them, right? So if I'm going to go buy something from you and I just change my mind, I get to keep a tangible asset, which is my money, and I lose something that may or may not have happened, right? And this is the weirdest thing about selling things. So basically, if we're in a conversation and I turn down your proposal, I don't lose anything tangible, but I get to keep my money, right? So no risk. And we know about right to comfort, fear of open conflict. So that's what you're up against with typically these decision makers. Once somebody gives us their money, now they're on the other side. Because now they're wanting, whether they're a owner operator or someone who's in that kind of position, they're wanting to be right about choosing us. Yeah. So what I like to see is a monetized scope that's small, that typically bills 2x your standard rate and takes like 2 or 3 hours to do.
Oh.
So
What?
because yeah,
I'm doing
small
too
money.
much.
What'd you say?
Okay. So I'm doing too much.
I'm so surprised. I think you're going to do too much for 2 reasons. I mean, the first one is
Nate, could you repeat that again? Sorry, it was just so succinct. I didn't mean to write it down.
yeah, thank you so much. Somebody called me succinct. That's awesome.
No, it was.
That's good. I like to
Just
see. So what I like to see is like a monetized scope, right? So you know what we're talking about. So it's like monetized scope where I get in and you pay me to assess the situation and tell you the truth about what it's going to take to fix it. And I like those to be cheaper and easier for clients to buy, because basically it's just easier for, if we look at it from an empathy standpoint, we want to give a client a smaller bite in the beginning because it's less risky, and get them into the point where we're working collaboratively to solve a problem. We're adversarial by default until the money is spent. That's the nature of capitalism. That's the nature of a society with no safety net, right? Well, shit, who am I talking to? Rachel. Yeah. So Anastasia, if you make that bite, now here's the key though. The key is like you create the scope in such a way that you're giving them incredible value, because when we do a monetized scope, we're selling what we're really good at, which is knowing how to solve their problem. See, you know how to solve the problem. They don't know how to solve the problem. In a monetized scope, you're going to go tell them the solution. That's worth a lot of money, because that's more than your time. That's like your lived experience. And with you, shit, it's like all of that fucking resume put into one price point. You know what I'm saying?
I think that I just had like a little aha moment, because I just had this really contentious is not the right word, but there was just a lot of back and forth on a proposal, which I did end up getting the work, but they wanted to see these words and these things in there. And then it's like, I'm thinking like, if I had done it differently, because I truly am like, I have no idea what you all are going to need from me 6 months down the line. If I had done something where I did the scope and then presented the proposal, well, we're having a different conversation then, because I'm coming at it in a more informed way. I'm able to say, I reviewed all these things and here's what I think you need to do, versus I'm like, you told me on a phone call for 30 minutes what you needed and I interpreted it and wrote it down in this way.
See, and this is where we have to be careful, because I'm the same way. Like, I'm serious. Like, if you hire me, I'm fucking serious. You're serious too. Like, we're here to make a difference. Like, it matters. And we're going to want to come with all of it. But I can tell you this right now, like, if you're ever struggling to scope, it's because you don't have enough information. Once you get enough information, that shit is like the air you breathe, like no problem. You get what I'm saying? All right. So we're just about at time. So tell me what you got. What did you get?
I am definitely gonna offer a paid discovery, not as part of a larger thing, which is how I've been doing it, but like on its own, so that I can get to know people and they can get to know how I work. So that gives them like I feel like it's like getting your foot in the door a little bit and like giving them an easier way to say yes to more work. And the content thing, I took a lot away from what you were saying about talking about how I see what like needs to be done differently in terms of this work and like making content out of that. But I still have a lot of questions on how, but yeah. And yeah, so I think in shortening my scoping to like a day versus a month.
Like where like you feel like it's worth wading into that bullshit, right? Like where you feel like it's worth it, and it's not so much that you feel obligated You know what I'm saying? Where you can get in and y'all can get a feel. And I'll tell you, if you go to somebody who's trying to buy this and you pitch them that, they're going to want to buy that more than anything anyone else is saying. Because everyone else, here's how we scope, and then we'll move on. We scope by guessing and then imploding the price to make sure we don't mess up. Yeah, and Aisla is saying something great in the chat, which is like, it gives you an opportunity to see if it's something you want to wade into.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Thank
I
you.
love you. Thank you. No, thank you. It's an honor to work with you. And thanks for being here and making me look like I kind of know a little bit. It's really good. You made me look good on that one. And I appreciate you, and I hope you got some value. You're the best. All right, Rachel.
Okay. Okay. So I'm a financial therapist. So right now, I'd say about half of my work is one-on-ones. That's kind of cranking, honestly, from several different reasons, but that kind of is like, that's fun. And I love that. But a former client and I have created a membership program, and that is taking the other 50% of my time, and it's cranking. She's also handling a lot of the front end, like the marketing, set it up, and then I get to just be there and be the therapist. I mean, it's kind of dreamland. I'm going to put it in the chat. I think it honestly could be the thing, because it is the best way I can see to scale. It's called the Money Healing Club, scale financial therapy for more people. So it's been just fun. We're just playing around with it. It's $39 a month. We do a weekly like group support every Tuesday night that I just get to run. I just get to do what I want. It's been just dreamland. So it's been only 2 months. But I'd say it's already
familiar with this. I'm familiar with it. I get to, this is where I'm at right now. It's like a playground.
Yeah, this totally feels it's so great.
Yeah.
And it has the potential, I think, to be quite sustaining. And so just like checking all the boxes, right? So that's feeling really good. We kind of know what we need to do there. But of course, because I am how I am, I'm like, ooh, what about a third thing? I know, it's just crazy. Okay, a product is like, I see it on the horizon and I'm not sure what it is. If it's a book, if it's an ebook, if it's like a thing, because right now it's still all me selling my time, which is like the only way I know how to do my work. But I feel I'm so cranked up right now and things are just clicking together. I really feel like I'm in kind of my, like, I don't know. I'm just in such a good spot right now. So this is what I wanted to take to the group. And do you, Nate, like, I kind of need to work. I feel like I need a product to kind of tie it all together, to have that third thing.
Yeah, this is a comment of great. So it sounds like what you're saying is, first of all, thank you. Second of all, I love for being here and doing this. And second of all, I love to hear, I get emotional. I love it when businesses like yours are doing well because of what you're really doing. And I got it. Will you remind me and the group what you did before this?
Oh, well, full-time mom, quite a bit. I'm a caretaker for aging parents and stuff. So that slowed down my career quite a bit. But I'm also a trained art therapist. So I am finally merging my worlds. So my background is in small business management, bookkeeping, accounting, that stuff. Went to grad school for art therapy. And so I was doing art therapy for a little while, never really took off, pandemic hit. And then like, oh, there's this thing called financial therapy. I was like, what? I could actually do both of my things. And it's like completely in my group now. So I bring in a lot of creative processes into visualizing money and doing quite a bit of deep work.
I love to hear this happening. I have a theory that the more of like who we authentically are in our lived experience and our commitments that our business can bring in, the more distinct we're going to be in the marketplace and the more impactful we're going to be and the easier it's going to be to market and the whole deal. So the question is, should I write a book? Yeah, you should write a book.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Do you like to write? What's your favorite form of communication?
You know, I like to write with others. Like I like to write with an assignment. Like I can churn out a gorgeous paper, but I'm not like sitting down and writing for fun. That's kind of how I feel. I can definitely, okay, here's how I shine. Like tonight, we have our support group tonight. And I think I know what I'm gonna do, but I'm not sure. And after this call, I will just like, and I will figure out the activity, and it's gonna be amazing. And I'm gonna plan it all out, and I'm gonna run the shit out of it. And everyone's gonna cry, and it's like gonna be so great. Like I'm a performer, and so like putting together exercises. Putting together provocative questions, holding space for people to work that through, like that. It might translate to a book. I mean, I am kind of thinking like a journal could be aligned for sure. I don't want it because of the thing. I don't know. I don't know what your money story is going to be. I don't know where you need to go. I can just like ask the questions and respond. So it's like, I can't do a how-to because everyone's so different. It just doesn't align with what I'm doing, but I can definitely create space and I can ask the questions.
So you have I'm hearing the way that you help people. Oh, this is so good. I'm sorry, I'm signing up for your program right now.
Do it, please.
I'm literally doing it right now. Good job.
Thank you.
Great. Close that deal.
It's a good deal. It's a really good deal.
Oh yeah. Oh, I need it. I have trauma around this stuff. So, okay. So the what is the reason then? So what do you think if you wrote a book? What are you trying to accomplish by writing a book? Like, we're just going to leave. We're not writing a book now. I changed my mind. No, I'm just kidding. You can do whatever you want. But like, let's say, but what is the result you're trying to produce?
Like the effect in the world.
Yeah. Like, why would you? Yeah. Because it's not for, I mean, I know you well enough to know it's not for any tactical reason.
You know, it's, gosh. I mean, it's to really elevate justice, you know, financial, economic justice, collective healing, accessibility, but also like with personal transformation. Yeah.
Well, it's required. I mean, you can't talk about money without transformation in America. It's like our national religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the undoing that has to happen in us.
Good. So now let's just separate that from book for a second. There's a particular set of results we're trying to produce. Now, notice how your brain jumps from the result I'm trying to produce to what I've seen other people do so quickly. Whap, that's business. That's freaking entrepreneurship, right? This is like, if I had to sum up what we're up against as a community and what my coaching is about, it's that. Now, we can't be hyper intentional about every single action because we don't have enough time to think every damn thing through. But what we can do is identify. One of these things I like to say is that reluctance is often discernment.
Yeah.
With you, hesitation is discernment, and I think you get this. So you got the pause. Yeah, and I know you've done like an astronomical amount of work, and you're probably gifted anyway. And like, what it's like to be with you is like a human being who is simultaneously completely at ease with who they are and super curious about what's next. And I love that about this space.
Thanks,
Yeah, no, it's cool. So the book, and you nailed it, right? So the purpose is what we want to focus on. What's the result I'm trying to produce? Now, any ethical entrepreneur that's got access to a transformational modality is going to have both an internally driven and an externally mandated mandate to get that information out in the world for free. Okay.
That's how I feel. Like I feel unethical not getting this out to more people.
And this is something that we all have in common that is literally like anti-capitalist. Yeah. Okay. Like you're not supposed to take your little bit and then let the rest out into the world. You're supposed to, or you've been conditioned to try to keep all the money. And whether you want to do that or not do that, that's going to get into space. And it's going to be a problem because anyone you ask, and you're a woman who owns a business and you're a mother, I mean, you are a mother, that, the grocery store clerk is going to give you advice on your business. right? Unsolicited advice is assault and you get it all the time. I get it. I don't know what it's like, but I hear it all the time. That advice doesn't apply to you, particularly with what you know about money, right? So you're in this really cool, like very like kind of like inception kind of space. So let's reduce let's talk about access and let's talk about what you like to do, right? Obviously you know, as an adult with a perfectly good career, you chose to get a higher level degree of a graduate. What do they call that? I don't have one, but you know, the ones that have a master's or something.
Yeah, the master's.
Yeah, you got one of those expensive ones in art therapy. So you're clearly a kind of person that like thrives inside of communication and cooperation and community and teamwork. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And with also a good dose of working alone. Like I like the autonomy.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. So if you could think of any medium or format, book or not book, where all of this can be accumulated in a way that allows you to balance your back and forth interaction with your, you know, solo work, what is there anything that comes to mind like a pre-existing format for the distribution of information?
I feel like you're alluding to something obvious that I'm not thinking of.
No, I don't know the answer to the question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I would set you up like that one-on-one, but not in front of people.
I mean, one is like public speaking, maybe like larger events.
Yep. I like that. Workshops and other events.
Yeah.
And I think now, and there's still barriers to entry at events, right? Because there's typically a ticket price.
Yeah.
But what if we collected all of that stuff and put it somewhere? This is the second time this has come up today. Trying to book is inadequate for what you're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Books require time. And look, like you're working with historically excluded people. They don't have money or time.
Right. And it's kind of antithetical to my whole thing that like,
yeah,
I can't tell you what to do.
No, but can you, and so you need an interactive medium.
Yes, I need an interactive medium.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily have to be one-on-one.
No.
But folks like to have to be able to choose their own adventure. And let's face it, like the world of like white men talking, ironically enough, is over. Right? Yeah. Like a one-directional media is done. Once, I mean, if we're Gen Xers, like we will probably be the last generation that will even tolerate that shit.
I'm an elder millennial, but yeah.
Are you? Okay, well, I'm a Gen X. Sorry to date you. Thanks for clarification.
Well, okay, and here's, you know, so many people go to the online course, and I really do get it, and I've done some that are wonderful, and I also have bought some that I've never done. It just, I have a real roadblock to that. I cannot. Yep. I don't know. It feels really icky.
You're an art therapist, like somatic integration is fucking everything. Somatic integration is everything.
Exactly. Right? My cat is like scratching my door down. Yeah,
you're good. You can get the cat, but we have to see the cat.
Oh my God. Who are you guys reading? He's like, fancy feast.
Oh my God. What a beautiful cat. What's his name?
Snig. It means snow in Ukrainian.
Oh man. He's beautiful.
You're so funny. Okay. He's gigantic. He's like a baby polar bear. Okay. Sorry.
Hey, Nate.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I pitch an idea in here?
Yeah, sure.
I actually think it is a book she's looking at, but it's different. It's a journal for people to self-journal in. And so there was recently, through the Transformational Travel Council, they have a book that's called the Transformational Travel Journal, and you use it on a trip to set intentions before you travel and then to write about your experiences. But as an art therapist, you could create the financial therapy journal that allows you to write about the problems, but also to conceptualize money in different ways, which is exactly what you were just talking about, but in a journal form. So you sell the journal people use the journal and hopefully they come to some relationship with money on their own through your journal. But if they want more, they know where to find you.
And you know what, Angie, I love, and I was kind of leaning that way. You just like really solidified it for me. Because also a lot of this, I'm also ground testing, which is so great. I'm ground testing in the club.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly, Alexis.
Yeah.
And,
So I think that's the way to sort of do a book, but not have to spend all the time writing a book. Yeah.
It has that openness.
But it has that
So-
openness. Yeah.
Now the challenge, Alexis says like the artist way. So I'm neurodivergent. I got like 1 minute in. Right. Because
Too many words. Too many words.
So we all have different learning styles or whatever we're dealing with, but I think where I see and you know about this because you have a background in therapy. So we call this oftentimes the elegant solution.
Yeah.
Try on that. Nobody's done this before, which we know is true. Nobody's ever done anything we're about to do before. Ever in business. And business coaching and business philosophy it's basically a false discipline that's based on of course I'm going to forget it because I was getting ready to nail the point. False equivalences. Because the cultural narrative for business does not take into account systemic inequality. As a matter of fact, the myth of American exceptionalism depends on the myth of what do they call it? The land of opportunity. Okay. And it stands to reason that the nature of a book, I like where Angie's going to. Angie's a client and is a freaking genius, really. Is like, okay, here's a journal. And it may need to be one more, or it may need to be an app, or it may need to be a combination of things. But if you remove book by looking at your commitments, and instead of solving the problem from outside in, solve it from inside out. What have you experienced is the best way to get people to take and cause transformation without you being there? Now, this is the problem. And perfectionism for us as white folks is going to show up. It ain't going to happen. And I'll tell you, being a purveyor of information, the rate or the degree to which we can impact people without being there is it's very, very much diminished. And that doesn't mean it's not worth it. Also know that this is it's a radical departure from your coaching modality now. And it's hard and it's questionable whether or not it's a good idea. You could just start recording your sessions, or you could do the groups for free, and then you could charge for one more up, right? You can take the bottom one and make it, you can do name your price or sliding scale. And also, what you have might be enough.
Actually, and I could see it being a platform to then do public speaking, run one of these.
And then just like letting people see the
you
talk.
Want more of this, pick up the journal.
And I think about the journal, which is cool too, is you could charge for it, and then you could use that transaction, that initial transaction, whether it's name your price or it's only $1 or whatever, to break, like, or you're a performer, to break the third wall.
Fourth,
right? Because
fourth wall,
thanks, whatever, fifth wall, eighth wall, that wall.
Who cares?
I only know of that because of a client I used to have in this video game I played one time called Metal Gear, but it's another story. But I digress. So, but you get what I'm saying? So essentially, to sum up, I would say a couple things. Number one, the modality has to be as inclusive as you're committed to being, which means it needs to take into account neurodivergence, literacy rates, how much time they have. It needs to be an elegant solution. It needs to be right, because if you're committed to accessibility, then you got to make it accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest challenge that you're dealing with is no one gets to get out of the economic system. So you're responsible by default from an integrity perspective for everyone. Yeah. Everyone's hurt and traumatized by this system. But that's good. I think you're up to the challenge. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, and so that's the first one. The second thing is just let go of like what you've seen other people do. That's never worked for you anyway. Mm-hmm. I mean, you do your own deal. It's great.
Well, it's fun. I mean, I'm actually coming out of being very, I'm a recovering pleaser. So all of this is also feeling very like, wait a second, but if someone doesn't give me the assignment, but if it doesn't follow some like path laid before me, like I'm in this point of my life where it's really different that I'm doing anything new, that I'm not doing something that was laid before me. This is a very new
That's
part
so
of
cool.
me. It's very cool, but no, I'm like, give me the assignment, I will get the A. Like that has been how I've lived my life.
Yep.
And that has not helped me. In fact, it has hurt me on doing all of that. Yeah. So,
Well, so here's another thing I like.
It's also cringy.
Or give you, and try on, that's not, you wouldn't have chosen to have that in your brain. Somebody else must have put it there, and we know who they were. They look like me, but they have more power.
Yeah.
So, and try on, it's not going to be very good, and it's not going to work very well, but it's worth it anyway. And if you can start from there, like it's a try, then I think you'll get somewhere. But how people, you're an art therapist, you understand how to produce lasting change in the context from which people relate to who they are in their relationship to the world. Let's bring that in, and let's let no be possible. Let's let that it's possible that it may never happen without people. Then we're just going to make like 1 million financial therapists, which would be great too.
Which might be common. Everyone's saying,
but we got to start somewhere. Make sense? Cool.
Okay, really appreciate that. One quick question, looking at something
of course, we got time.
and I love the examples dropped. I'm totally going to look at those. Thank you so much to you guys who put those in. Is like looking at self-publishing or like what? Like, I don't know. It feels a little more like starting with I don't know.
Yeah, so self-publishing is, if you're writing a book and you're going to sell it to people you already know, or if you get a value from organizing what you know about the discipline in a book, which is valuable without anyone ever buying a book or reading it. It's like any kind of I'm going to be pro any kind of organization and definition of your proprietary transformational modality. By proprietary, I mean based on who you are, your lived experience, what you're great at, what you care about. Any kind of documentation or organization of that, I'm going to be a proponent of.
Yeah.
The modality, I'm going to say, comes from what you love doing. The format is if it's interactive, how the hell are you going to, or whatever this balance is, right? It just needs to be reflective of that, inside out.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get a weird book published, I'll tell you that. You might get a journal published, but there's a price to pay for innovation. I know this is a formal professional musician. So if you're going to write a book about financial therapy, it's going to need to look like the books that are in that field.
Right. And yeah, I mean, mine would look like spiral bound journal. That's what it would look
great.
Like. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, and it doesn't need to be. I mean, all you're doing when you're getting it picked up is they're taking a percentage and they're paying for the market.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, with you, I keep hearing about this thing is on fire anyway. Why give that power away? Just do it and see what happens. I would say make the best tool to accomplish the job, and then we'll see what happens. You'll get the benefits.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
No,
everyone.
thank you.
I love the ideas in the chat. Thank you.
All right. And then we'll open it up to I got to talk about this for a second. So if you're new here, they always tell me I got to remember I have a business. So at the Kite Group, we sell things. We have this, which you can come to for free all the time. It's every other, what's today, Tuesday? And you'll hear, this type of communication and this type of back and forth. And because we do values aligned marketing, you're going to get a lot of matching. Did everyone who was not participating, did y'all hear something that was relevant to your business today? Yeah, it happens consistently. It's like a phenomenon. We also have a group coaching cohort that Angie's a part of, which is amazing. And we're looking to add a couple members in there. And then I think I'm going to start a new one with Tekla. Those are $150 a month. We meet every other week for an hour. And there's less white man talking. And then we have one-on-one strategy sessions where typically we're working with entrepreneurs to make sure that that what they're selling is aligned with what they're best at. Like it's the best tool to cause transformation in the world. And then we work from there on how it relates to markets and how to market that and sell that. And we also build websites and do marketing consulting. So if you're interested in any of that, I will drop my name in the chat. And then I'll hit you with an email probably, no, I will, with a replay of the session. So I'm done. Thank you so much for coming, and let's open it up for questions or conversations or whatever y'all want to do. Oh yeah, thanks, Aisla. So glad you're here. If you want to be a guest, like you want to sit in the hot seat, get some free coaching. Yeah, perfect. You both have emails, I think, from me, right, Roman? Hi, buddy.
I actually want to ask a question. My apologies. That's what that was
No
for.
apologies from you ever, brother. How are you? You. Your hair looks great.
Thank you. You know, it's typically I keep a low haircut every once, so this is a new look.
I love it.
I hope you're doing well too. My question is, so I'm doing spiritual consulting and helping content creators think more ethically about the work that they do to sell their spiritual products with integrity and in an anti-capitalistic way. So one of the things that I am selling is a free poetry workshop that will bring people who are creative, but after the free poetry workshop, to sell them like the product of how I did this workshop that was free and how they could produce something similar in their work as artists, as creators themselves. One of the things that I had a question though is like, how do you do that ethically when you've invited people to a free workshop that will, you know, it's free. So then why would you want to offer a price point to something that they'll be doing for themselves? But like, how can you do that ethically? That's my question. I think I'm just having like, you know, I have issues with selling.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
The question sounds like, is it ethical, or how do you make it ethical to offer a free workshop that then leads into a paid product?
Right.
Okay, cool. So transparency and consent is how I have solved, like for me, solved the problem. So Roman, like I don't need to tell you with that big ass PhD in what is it? Is it medical sociology? Yeah. So I'll acknowledge that not only are you much better looking, but you're 1,000 times smarter than me and more educated. I don't need to tell you that like your participation in capitalism is going to be problematic no matter fucking what. You know too much. Like that shit ain't going to go well. And you know, as soon as there's a universal basic income, we'll both quit, and then we'll do this like interactive art, energy healing, dance, DJ project, some shit, right? So there's always going to be some ickiness, and you know that. But what I do is I'll straight up, like in this one, I talked about what I sold, but there's no call to action. Because people didn't consent to buy anything, did not even express an interest in buying anything. They wanted to hear, I know what they said yes to is Rachel and Anastasia being generous and us being in a conversation about these issues. So I'm not going to pitch in that environment because I think it's a breach of consent. What I will do after this is I'll send an email to everyone and I'll be like, yo, here's the replay. And if you're interested in any of these products and services that we sell, just let me know. Here's how you can find out more. Here's what you can do. And that's it. Because now if I want to do a sales event, I'll do a sales event, but I'll name it as such. So all you have to do is put in the copy, look at the end of this event. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I sell. And I promise you that the content is going to be valuable and you'll get something out of this, whether you buy anything from me or not. Yeah.
Can I add something?
Love you. Just see your face, Roman. Yeah, go ahead.
Really quick, which is to say, I get like it's hard to feel like you're selling things. And I've been on the other side of it where I've really wanted to hire someone and I couldn't get them to understand that because they were trying so hard, and I appreciate the respectfulness, but they were trying so hard. I was like, no, what I want is to give you money because I like what you're up to. So I also think there's that piece of assuming, if
Yeah.
you've got something you're passionate about and people are into it, you can also assume that they're not going to be pissed off if you're saying, this is how you can interact with it in a way that our culture, the exchange piece, right? Like it's, that's not sales, that's giving people the opportunity to, see what's up and have an opt into it. I mean, it is sales, but it's not that thing you're talking about that's uncomfortable, because that other side is really hard too, where you're like, I really want to, but now I feel awkward. Like maybe they don't want to sell to me. I don't know. So.
Yeah, I so respond to that. Actually, we did a free webinar last week and we were promoting the club and we did the offer at the beginning. And it
There you
was
go.
so relaxing. We laid it out. Here's the club. Here's the details of the club. Now you know the details of the club. There will be no surprises. We'll have some giveaways at the end, so stick around. And it was, so then it's just like, oh, I felt relaxed. It didn't feel like we were leading up to something yippy. And it was such a better way to do it. Yeah, because it's like everyone on those calls where it's like, okay, where's the pitch at the end? Or also when it's sometimes a letdown, it's more than you think it would be. Like, I didn't want any of that to be happening.
No, and it gets in this space, right? It gets in the space. And part of the coaching I got from Isla around this event is in the same idea, which is like, I used to do this free coaching session, like I'd give anybody an hour. But that's a lot, right? To be one-on-one with a white dude there's gonna be, I can do whatever I want to do to not put sales pressure in. Sales pressure is going to be there. Like I'm responsible for this identity. I mean, I don't know. I've been highly trained, right? This identity doesn't do well by people. So I got to get responsible. And we all have that in different ways in the room, right? Because we have a lot of intersectionality in here. In the end of the day, though, like sales pressure is not going to work. And I'm not talking about you pressuring them. I'm talking about the presence of sales pressure as a phenomena that occurs in a culture that has somehow convinced most of us that it's okay for people to die because they don't have any money while Elon Musk blows up rockets, right? There's this inherent wrongness to it. So when we teach a sales course, it is all about empathy and consent. Now, do I do limited time offers? You bet your butt I do. But to Alexis's point in the chat, it's when I need to get a program going. So if I have a group program that I am trying to launch, I have got to have 6 people by the end of the month. And so that's it. And if it's a beta, I'm only going to run the beta once, so I'm going to discount it. But I've always tried to do it like, if like someone, like there's 2 PhDs in the room, right? So, and I'm sure you're all really smart, but those 2 are, I know for sure, it is true too. You gotta kind of be smart, get a doctorate. If Alexis and Roman are sitting over my shoulder, I want the level of integrity in my business to satisfy them. Thank you, Anastasia. I acknowledge we're over. Love you. I'll see you so soon. I'm so excited again to do your website and shit. It's gonna be so good. I think that discerning clients can detect discernment, right? And a lot of times it's the design of the offer. It's the design of the offer that gives folks the information that they're looking for when they're trying to do business with us. So like Alexis, I've never met. I know you were invited by Isla. Alexis is going to take from this conversation in the format today. She's going to take some ideas about who Kite and Dart is and whether they line up with a referral and all that, and then take an action consistent with that. And if we want discerning clients, like, look, if y'all don't want to do sketchy shit, don't do sketchy shit. That is some colonizer stuff to like make up that, like the right way to sell is a way that no one would choose to get sold to. That is some white man colonizer thinking. No, there's a golden rule, isn't there? Sell how you want to be sold to. Roman, your problem is always going to be how far ahead of us you are. But if you're honest and authentic about how you do it, and you're intentional about consent, the group of clients that you're going to find at the end are going to be fucking amazing. This is my experience. Like we got to work harder. The more different we are, is that the correct English? I don't know. The more different our y'all is. I got family from Alabama, so I can get away with it. The more out of line you step, the higher your cost of acquisition, to put it in business terms. However, your retention will go through the roof. What does that mean in English? Look, if you're doing something that's out of the box, it's going to be harder to get people in the door, but once they're in the door, they're going to stay a lot longer. And I've hung my hat on that, for better or for worse. Cool.
Thank you. That was good.
No, you're good. I'm glad you're here. Thanks, man. It honors me that you would even ask me questions. Anybody have anything else they want to say? We're off the clock, so.